some of the top trends that I see in 2025, right? Number one is that I think overall I'm quite positive about the global recovery. Okay, I think we're still going to go towards growth. Okay, and to me, the biggest risk is of course the US trade policy, but I think in a certain way, this is also good, right? This is also beneficial to the US market, and especially with China's consumption increasing. Now, we always see China as an export nation, but a lot of people forgot that actually China is a huge monster that consumes a lot of goods. And China itself is not enough to supply the population, right? So if this nation were to rebound, the tourism restart and they start consuming outside of the nation, it's going to be quite positive. Okay? So here is the part that I think most of you are waiting about already. Number one is the growth area. So I feel that the growth area going to next year is still going to be tech, right? Consumer, housing, anything that's AI related. But this part is a bit iffy, a bit hyped up, so just be careful. And I think semiconductors is going to still do pretty well over here. Okay. Now, how about the slow areas? Okay, so over here, guys, type in the chat. What do you think are your slow? You think it's going to be a slow area? Then I will show you mine, see whether we are synced together. Okay, right? Which sector do you think is going to be a bit slower going to 2025? Okay, let me drink some water. Okay, so I see aviation, health, medical, healthcare. Wow, a lot of you are very negative about healthcare. Why? Because the CEO just died, right? Some of the United Health CEO just died, right? Right? Ada says technology. Alphonse says oil. David says solar energy. Okay, so I think we are pretty much aligned. Okay. One additional industry that I'll just add to it is this, right? I'm fairly negative on energy, healthcare, and one more sector is insurance. Okay. Why insurance is because I think in the more conservative world, in a more inward-looking world, we will have a bit more conflict, right? We will have a bit more issues. Plus, global warming is happening really, really fast, right? So I think a lot of the insurance company, they will suffer those considered once in the blue moon, black swan kind of payout event. Okay, so I'm a bit more cautious on the insurance side of the house, right? Energy side of the house, healthcare, yes. Why am I negative about healthcare? Is because it's also linked to insurance, right? So I think there's going to be a huge revamp on the healthcare policy side as well. So these three sectors, I'll generally try to avoid, not to play on it too much, right? Financial sector, very good. Sin is asking about financial sector. I think financial sector in 2024 had a very good run, right? For those of you who are my investor in my fund, you will know that we invested a lot into financial starting in 2024, and then we slowly trickle down, right? Because it's the kind of thing whereby if the news become mainstream, it's no longer a news. Right? You get what I'm trying to say, right? So back then, start of the year, nobody was looking at banks, was saying, oh, no, whether it's good for the bank or not. But right now, after the banks has gone up quite a lot already, right? So if you look at, okay, maybe we just go to the chart for a while. If you just look at the banking ETF, XLF, right? You just look at year to date, the banking ETF has actually outperformed S&P 500. It has gone up by 28% already, right? And generally, these are like very slow, quiet companies, right? That shouldn't jump so much on, right? So my view is that I think banks will not be so exciting in the new year ahead, right? Because now everybody is like, oh, interest rate is going to come down. So I think the run for the banks, is over already. And I kind of agree with that. When the news become mainstream, then it's not going to be beneficial for the banks anymore. Okay, but I'm still positive on all this, right? So okay, so Sven is asking, will banks drop in price? I think they will still hold well, to be very honest, right? Because the demand for banks is going to be there. With lower interest rate, what we will see is increased lending. But I think the amount of liquidity flowing into banks is not going to be as high. Okay, so guys, there's this two world about investing outcome, right? So when the share price goes up, right, one side of the world thinks that it's because the company is doing very well, so the valuation is very good, very cheap. So I buy now, therefore the price should logically just go up. It is his rightful place to go up. Okay, but another world of thinking is that when you see a share price move up in a very short term, like 6 months to a year. Okay, to me, that is short. I don't know to you what is short term, but to me, 6 months to a year is considered short. When you are seeing a share price move in the short term, heading upwards, generally, it's not because the fundamentals is very good or anything. It's because there's more liquidity flowing into the sector. And that's why I don't think that it's going to be very good for the banking sector, because I think the liquidity is starting to pull out. Because we have made our bucks already, right? And banks is not like technology where they can leap and bound in front. They don't do that, right? Banks is just slow and steady wins the race kind of situation. So I think that profit has already been made, it's been taken. Even for my own fund that we invest in, the portfolio that we invest in, we have trickled down our holdings for banks, right? We take our profits along the way. And I do see that happening in the bigger institutions as well. So that's my broad take.